example, in the Middle East, using solar photovoltaic technology is not going to be practical because of dust settling into solar panels, and so they've tried it. We blindly believe that there is a lot of sun in the Middle East, so solar would be great. Well, actually, practically on the ground, it does not seem to be all that fine. So,
well, would that be the same problem in the Mojave Desert in the United States?
If
dust would settle in, and as a result, that's a false promise as well?
I'm not sure if I'm qualified to technically answer the question without a little bit more research, Chairman, but I'll tell you this. If it's dust with moisture, if the humidity content is high in the Mojave Desert, which I believe it's not, at least for most of the year, that becomes an issue because the dust with humidity settles in and cakes in on these panels, thus actually putting a barrier between the sun rays and the actual photovoltaic cells.
So we're lucky there's no humidity in the Mojave Desert?
I believe so.
As a result, we can become the solar giant because of that, and all across the Middle East, no matter whether it's 100 degrees a day and the sun is out every single day, that solar is not in their future? Is that what you're saying? Because of the humidity that accompanies the dust and the sun in the Middle East?
For the moment, Mr. Chairman, that is the reality as they have tried and tested. However, I'm hoping, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, wow, I did not know how, really up the creek the Middle Eastern countries are because of their the humidity accompanying that. I never knew that.
And they are looking for solutions. So talk about technology and opportunity for innovation. If we can solve the problem of dust and humidity settling in, the same thing happens with outdoor LED lighting, where the brightness of these fixtures are reduced at least by 40 to 50% because of the film of dust that gets caked in. So we're taking that on as a challenge to resolve those issues.
Mr. Rao, I really want to come back to this inability of the Middle East to produce any solar, because as you know, it's necessitating us selling nuclear power plants to countries in the Middle East with uranium, plutonium, and other nuclear bomb-making material, which is only going to escalate the tensions in the Middle East. And I'm very afraid that as we send very expensive nuclear power plants to the Middle East, that we're only shortening the day that we have to send ever more troops over there as a government collapses that has one of these nuclear power plants. In the same way that in Iran and Iraq, we're now facing that problem. It's almost inevitable that the same thing will occur in one of these other countries, a country that could otherwise generate electricity from solar. So here's what I'm wondering, and everyone's gone here, so I'm all alone as the chairman. And I'm just wondering, we had this problem with rain that used to go on the windshields of American cars, and somebody came up with the idea of a windshield wiper that would just wipe off, basically. And then somebody came up with a brilliant, brilliant idea. It was called the intermittent windshield wiper. It would just occur every 30 seconds or so. Big patent fight over that. About 50 years ago in the United States. Guy got very rich winning this patent fight. Big, big fight. And it just seems to me that maybe someone could invent a way that intermittently, since the very device that we're trying to protect generates electricity, it would seem that perhaps there would be a way to have an intermittent dust wiper, wipe off the dust, so that the electricity which is being generated by the thing that's being protected by the intermittent dust wiper would allow this country to be able to take advantage of their better natural resource rather than asking the United States to send them uranium and plutonium. Should I get a patent on my idea, Mr. Rao? And would this idea emanating from this chair right now constitute constructive notice to all other entrepreneurs in the world that I have the idea first? And how much more complicated than that should it be to be able to figure this out?
A couple of comments, Mr. Chairman. I think it's an excellent idea, and the only consolation is you probably repeating what happened at a workshop 3 days ago in Bahrain about finding alternatives for self-cleaning solar panels that actually can do the same thing.
Oh,
we
great.
did recognize the fact that there was a patent fight, and the discussion was we have to do more research on who holds the patents on intermittent wipers and how it can be applicable to solar panels and outdoor.
You actually had that conversation?
Absolutely, it was a
No way.
conversation. So, I'm a little, but you know what? There may be an extension if you really look at IP and say we will note that we actually had the conversation here in terms of actually bringing it. Because we were looking for
There was a
solutions.
part of me, that really, from a nationalistic perspective, that I thought maybe I shouldn't share this idea with Bahrain and Saudi Arabia and other countries. Maybe I should just keep it here so that we develop all these ideas and that they not become the capital of solar, okay? Because we now have them, because they don't know about this, buying our nuclear power plants, huh? and that's a good trade advantage for us. But maybe just out of, and Ms. Haverkamp already pointed this out, and I think Mr. Nelson as well, maybe there's other reasons we should share the intermittent dust wiper technology with these other countries so that they can capture the opportunities there. But I just think it sounds like an eminently solvable problem, and it also solves the problem of us sending uranium or petroleum to countries that could be subject to political instability over the next 50 years, which instability would then create real problems for us as well in the transfer of nuclear bomb-making material to third world groups that many of these countries, as you know, are already subsidizing.
Correct.
At least indirectly. So I just think the sooner we solve this problem, and I would like to work on this as an issue, because I think almost everyone at this table really does believe that solar is the future, and it could become the single largest manufacturing sector in the history of the world. And I would just hate to see the countries with the most sun not being able to benefit from it because they don't understand the intermittent windshield wiper technology better.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's an excellent idea. In fact, I think what the folks in Bahrain and the Middle East are looking at is not as solar as just one option. It is one of several options. So, for example, they're exploring wind simultaneously as well. While I said, and they're also curtailing the use of energy itself. They are grossly negligent about how they use energy because that's so cheap. Now they begin to realize that. So we will work on that. I really applaud you for taking that effort. And maybe there is an idea for another patent, maybe if you continue thinking on that.
Is this a patent in the control of the United States? Are you aware of that? Is the workshop, the 3-day workshop on the intermittent dust removal technology, is that an American technology they were discussing?
The initial patents, I believe, where we're doing some research on it. The workshop wasn't on intermittent wipers. The workshop was on energy solutions as a whole. This was one aspect of it. So we have started doing research. It is about 48 hours since my last discussion on that, and I've been on a plane for 26 out of those.
No,
so we will get that research done as well.
A lot of times people say, well, this is the equivalent of our putting a man on the moon. But in a lot of ways, that kind of overstates the case, because we're talking about batteries. We're talking about, incremental additions on already existing technologies with additional breakthroughs, kind of like in the chip industry, how there's Moore's Law, and it just keeps improving every year or so, that the same thing is true here with the incremental new technology breakthroughs that keep improving by another 18% per year the efficiency of solar or wind or other technologies, which seems to be the curve that at least solar has been on since 1978. So that's, the context in which I'm, thinking about these issues.